the injury attorneys at The Advocates can't actually prevent you from being in a cycling accident, they will be by your side to support you following your accident. Our legal services won't cost you a dime out of pocket, so when you need an injury attorney, call us. We're The Advocates, your Utah personal injury attorneys. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show. Happy, God damn, it's only Wednesday.
So bad.
Happy Wednesday. On The Monty Show, may the June 5th be with you. Presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com, who remind you to keep an eye out for those motorcycles on the road. So another story here in the great state of Jeddah. Another fatal motorcycle accident. Friends, you got to be careful. If you're riding, please be defensive. If you are driving, please check your mirrors twice. Mirror signal shoulder check. You know what I'm saying? If you've been in an accident, call The Advocates. Better yet, chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Hello, Jacob.
Hello.
Can we start with Tua being fat? I know that everybody wants to talk about the fact that, oh my God, Monty, the ACC. We'll get there. But I mean, this Tua story. Have you guys seen this story on Tua Tagovailoa, which is not how it's pronounced?
Right.
Tua Tagovailoa was fat. Let's not pull any punches. Dude was husky size. Right now, he's no Zion Williamson.
Damn. He is fat or was fat.
But he was fat, dude. Tua Tagovailoa was a fat ass. And now he shows up at minicamp. Not a fat ass anymore.
Oh.
Look how skinny Tua is. That's Tua in his Dolphins jersey on the right. It's actually, it's not. But look how skinny Tua is. And you look at this weight loss, and you look at what some of his bros are saying, and it's like, it's pretty incredible.
What I'm saying out of Tua, man, like, I ain't gonna lie, when I see Tua at the Pro Bowl, I was kind of scared. Dude was but, he was fat, he was chubby. I was like, hold on now. Bruh, hold on, bruh. Like, Ryan Clark said you were kind of thick. Now, he wasn't lying, but seeing him now and where he's come from and how skinny he has gotten, what's that stuff with everybody taking? Ozempic? He had to be taking that, bruh, because I don't know.
Bruh. Now, listen, Tyreek Hill may be the great procreator, but he ain't wrong. Tua was fat, bro. He was fat. And I think the worst part about this whole thing is Tua does not want to talk about it.
I don't know. It's whatever I'm down to right now.
But what was the reason behind it?
I felt like I'd be better. I feel better, quicker on my feet, more nimble, all of that.
What do you feel you can add to your game at that weight?
Probably extending plays more this offseason. And then, during the season, training camp, all of that stuff.
What do you think you can add to your game? Oh, extending plays this offseason.
Hold on, bro. Like,
whoa. Like, are you surprised that he's lost all this weight? And I'm a little concerned for him. Like, Tua is so skinny. Like, I worry about, I mean, dude, look how skinny he is.
Yeah.
Fat. Skinny.
Yeah.
Look how much weight he's lost.
Yeah, well, it was cool when Lamar did it, right? Like, everyone was like, oh, well, Lamar's a scrambler. Lamar's a guy who runs around. This is fine. But Tua is a guy who's had concussion after concussion and finally last season figured out how not to be first team all concussion injury tent guy. And now he's lost all this weight. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Tua is so thin. And it is, wow. That is shocking to me. That is really shocking to me. But hey,
if these guys are losing weight because they're scared of like ligament injuries or like what the reasoning is. I mean, obviously, Tua was fat. Like I agree, but he
was big boned.
Like a lot of these quarterbacks, man, like you need to be trying to look like Jalen Hurts, right? Like you need to be trying to look like thick, muscular, strong. Like that's what you need to be trying to look like, and that's not what Tua is, obviously. Tua's the guy who is more going off of athleticism and pure ability rather than constantly being in the weight room and stuff. Clearly, you can tell he's not like, he's not like, hey, I'm jacked for a quarterback guy. So I don't know. We'll see.
I cannot believe to go from this to this in several months. I don't. Do you really think he's on Ozempic?
He's got to be on something because he. So here's the deal:
That's
if
wild.
he had cut weight, but was doing it through strength training, he would look way more shredded. Like he wouldn't be big, muscular, bulky dude. He would be, but he would look more like toned and like aesthetic and shredded, and like you would see a lot more definition in his body. But you're not seeing that. What you're seeing is a softer complexion. And he's just skinnier, which would lend itself to Ozempic. It would. It absolutely would.
I cannot believe. Look at his face in this picture. Look, like that is a guy that eats well. This is a guy that's trying not to eat as well. Like that, this picture right here.
Yeah, he looks a little weird there.
Like that.
And that's probably just the angle or whatever, but
he looks like a little dude. Like, look how much thinner his face is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So then there's the question of, well, would you pay Tua? And are they going to get a deal done? And that's where I think the whole weight loss health thing comes into play.
Shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. Yes, it does, Mike Smith. It looks like two totally different people.
Yes.
I mean, that's great. Hey, more power to you, bro. But like, good on you, brah. Tyreek, worry about condoms, not weight loss. Like,
hold on, bro. Like,
yeah, you're about to get this contract, Tyreek. Tyreek's got like 59 kids by a bunch of different women. All right. Enough with fat shaming Tua Tagovailoa. Would you pay him?
Yeah, because I don't know who else you're going to get.
Yeah, at this point, you have no choice but to pay him. Let's get into what you all want to talk about. I know the death of the ACC. The ACC is dying. Okay. I don't disagree with you on that. Now, what have we told you on this show about the ACC and the situation with the ACC and that the ACC Conference essentially lives and dies on Tobacco Road with North Carolina and Duke. And really, I think North Carolina is the power player in this league, not Florida State, not Clemson in their NIL with Jesus. No, it is North Carolina. And the fact that North Carolina and North Carolina State are not tied at the hip. We've told you that repeatedly. We've had this discussion on the show. Wolfpack Nation has come into the comments section all pissed off as though they were Oregon State fan and repeatedly said, oh, we're going where North Carolina goes. Well, I got news for you. According to the lawmakers in North Carolina, apparently they don't believe that North Carolina and North Carolina State are tied at the hip because new legislation being introduced in the state of North Carolina would make it mandatory for NC State and North Carolina to play each other every single season and would tie NC State and North Carolina to the other colleges in the state of North Carolina. Oh, and why would you be doing that? Because obviously they believe that the ACC is going away. The news here is that NC State and North Carolina are not tied together, as we've been telling you now for months and months and months. They're not tied together. There is no indication that there will be a calamony situation when North Carolina eventually ends up in the Big Ten, which is where I think they will end up. But what does this situation tell us about what's going on in the ACC? I think it tells you that conversations continue to be ongoing. And I think when you look at the situation in the ACC, it remains to be unstable. I don't think anybody is in a hurry. In fact, it's not going to be weeks when we will get an answer. I think it will still be several months. And here we are on June 5th of 2024. I think we are at least 6 weeks away, minimum 6 weeks away from getting any kind of end game solution to what's going on in the ACC rather. But Jake, I think this situation in North Carolina tells you that the wheels are moving behind the scenes and we are heading ultimately for the end of the ACC.
Absolutely. And I think that, you make a perfect point. Like, you wouldn't be doing this if the ACC was going to be around and these two were going to continue to be in the same conference. And I think that that's the overreaching point. And I think that, people learned a lot of lessons out of the Pac-12 situation. And I think that's why local legislature is getting involved now instead of waiting for the conference to melt down. Because if you can get ahead of this thing and you can say, okay, cool, like we're essentially mandating that these schools inside our state line continue to play each other every single year, we will be largely unaffected by realignment and by the ACC melting down. And that's basically all the state cares about. The state just wants to make sure that it continues to have its revenue, that it continues to have a strong, obviously, educational system, and that its schools continue to flourish and thrive. And so I think this is smart out of the local legislature. I think it is saying, hey, we saw what happened. We don't want to be in a bad position. So we're going to get ahead of this thing and mitigate. And we're going to start to say, okay, we learned the lesson. So to me, that's where I say, hey, people are starting to learn lessons and they're starting to embrace the fact that the sport is changing.
Yeah, and I think you see here that, and I believe this is Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports, under a bill filed by prominent Republican House members, UNC and NC State would be required to play at least one of East Carolina, Appy State, Charlotte every year, and would have to play each school home and away every 6 years. And North Carolina lawmakers want to require the state two biggest universities, UNC and NC State, to regularly play football and basketball games against each other, other in-state public schools, as well as against each other. And you look at the rationale for this, UNC and NC State would also be required to play each other home and away every year, a nod to the looming realignment that could move the longtime rivals into separate conferences. Are you serious, Monty?
Oh.
Wait, but I thought they were, Jake, they're tied together.
Hold on, bro.
Yeah, hold on, bro. I don't think there's any doubt that A, I'm good looking, and B, I'm fatter than Tua. But that we were
like the fat kid loves cake.
Yeah, that we are absolutely correct on North Carolina and NC State are not going to be required to move together. And you look at the answer here, sports tourism is vital to the economy in North Carolina, and interstate collegiate athletics generate millions of dollars in economic impact for the state. Yeah, North Carolina is a state that thrives in the college landscape.
Yeah, and that's why you're getting legislature on this. That's what I'm saying. Like for the local legislature, right, at the state level, all you have to do here is make sure, hey, the revenue stays inside the state lines. Like whether you're playing for the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, your mom's league, I don't care what league, but you guys have to play each other every single year because we need people to buy tickets and buy beer and tailgate and power the local economy. And that's where I say this is really smart and pragmatic. And I'm telling you that people in that town are not stupid. They see, hey, there's opportunity to raise revenue coming down the pipe. Now, it may take a couple of years, but we're going to be prepared for that change. We are not going to allow our economy and our dollars to be affected by the decisions of folks who lead college athletics. Like, let them do their thing, but you damn sure are going to play these games.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about the ACC, I think we are looking at a situation where there is a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. And I go back to what we've reported on this show that the Big 12 has, in fact, spoken to the majority of ACC membership, including Duke and North Carolina. I think that the ACC meltdown here and the looming meltdown is a real opportunity for the Big 12. And when we talk about those that could benefit substantially from the ACC going away, I don't think there's any doubt that it appears the big winner of that would be the Big 12. Now, are you going to end up with a Florida State? No, you're probably not. I maintain that Florida State's only avenue out of the ACC would, in fact, be the SEC, because there's no easy fit for Florida State in the Big Ten. I think that I look at North Carolina. North Carolina is going to the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, if that conference melts down in totality, I think if it melts down altogether, Notre Dame ends up in the Big Ten. It's the only conference that they would join, in my opinion. I think the SEC would make a hard pitch for Notre Dame, but I don't see Notre Dame going anywhere but the Big Ten. I've been told that repeatedly. But I think when you look at the Virginia schools, you look at Louisville, I think Miami is a very, very interesting player in the ACC landscape, the silent killer, because I think that's what Miami is. As much of a dumpster fire as Miami athletics has been for decades now, as much as I believe that corruption rules the day in the city of Miami, in my opinion, I think that Miami still is a very valuable brand. And if the Big 12 can end up with a foothold in Central and Southern Florida, that would be a major coup. And I think you look at where the Big 12 is now. I have been told repeatedly the most likely members of the ACC to join the Big 12 are the the Virginia schools, Virginia and Virginia Tech, Miami and Louisville. Those four have been repeatedly and consistently contacted and in contact with members of the Big 12 and with their, let's call them emissaries.
Right.
I think that you look at those four universities, and I think there's a hell of a lot more in play there. Very clearly, I think Pitt is a valuable property if you are the Big 12. I think it brings you a phenomenal rival with West Virginia. I think it brings you one of the marquee football matchups of the year in that game. I think it gives you regionality. I think Pitt makes a lot of sense. But I think, based on what I've been told, the Virginia schools, Louisville, and Miami are the focus for the Big 12. They have had consistent contact with Duke. I don't think Duke is a realistic option for the Big 12. I think Duke is a Big 10 school. I think Duke wants to be in business with North Carolina. I think North Carolina wants to be in business with the brands that are in the Big 10. And I think North Carolina and Duke understand the minute that they join the Big 10, they're going in as full-fledged financial members, and they immediately become national championship caliber programs in college basketball because they would absolutely be the biggest brands in that conference in basketball. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I think they would have a lot of leverage over the Big Ten at that point too. Like because like right now, if you're UNC and Duke in the ACC, you have leverage because you are UNC and Duke, and like you bring all those basketball shares. And obviously, Duke's had a year here or a year there on the football field where they've improved, but Obviously, Duke is, clearly a basketball school. UNC, on the other hand, I think has seen more gains on the football field. I think UNC has done a really good job growing that side of their business. And obviously, still a lot of room to grow, right? Still a lot of room for improvement. Still got to turn yourself into a regular player in the college football playoff. But I think from a basketball perspective, the Big Ten needs basketball powerhouses. UNC and Duke can provide that. And if you're UNC and Duke, I think you can feel really good about the fact that, hey, like we would still be in a position where we can say, yeah, like we are part of the reason your conference is making huge money. And I think that's going to be for them really important. And then for the Big 12, I think the Big 12's place in college athletics is going to be really interesting because I think that definition is going to change as we move along here.
No,
now,
I agree with that.
Like right now, the ACC, I would say in order, like totem pole order, we've got SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12. Like I think that's kind of your order of prominence. But if the Big 12 is the conference that picks up the second cut of team out of the ACC, and the Big 10's getting obviously the top players, I think the Big 12's role in all of this is crucial because you have to have somewhere for these schools to go. And obviously they're not going to a Pac-12 conference that doesn't exist. And so the Big 12 turns into this conference that is like, hey, we're going to ingest what is left of the ACC, and we're going to provide balance and scheduling to the bigger picture. Because obviously the Big 12 is a strong basketball conference that you can do great things in scheduling with. Yeah. They need, in my opinion, to improve in football. We've talked about that at length. But again, I'm just telling you, only having two conferences in college athletics isn't going to work. You need that third player to kind of round the picture out. And that's where I think you're going to find really strong balance in the sport once the ACC does whatever they're going to do.
Well, I'm really curious to see where the lesser brands in the ACC end up, the Boston colleges, the Syracuse. I think one of the more interesting brands in that conference is Wake Forest. I wonder what happens to a Georgia Institute of Technology. Like what happens to Georgia Tech? Those are really interesting historical brands who frankly just don't compete.
Yeah.
They do not compete on the fields and the courts of the ACC. And if the ACC truly melts down, and I think we are getting closer to that, I don't think that's final in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
But if the ACC melts down altogether, I don't know where Boston College ends up. I don't know where Syracuse ends up. I don't know where Wake, Georgia Tech end up because I don't see a lot of brand value there. I think the Big 12 is incredibly they're in a position of leverage. And I think they're attractive to brands like the Virginia schools. I think they're attractive for Louisville. I think it'll be really interesting to see, hey, where does Miami ultimately fall in all of this?
And what's their best fit? Because I think that's another question. Like the obvious inference is, oh, well, if Florida State's going to make the SEC, let's say, then maybe Miami's a Big Ten school and the Big Ten can get into Florida that way. But I'm not so sure that that's the case. I don't know that there's a clear-cut home yet for Miami. Like, obviously, they're going to get into one of them. But,
I agree.
But I don't know what the better fit for them is. I think it really is contingent on what Florida State does. And by the way, I'd also like to point out a story flying under the radar. USF trying to get into the SEC after their little stadium meeting they had the other night, I think is really interesting. Like USF is obviously a second-tier brand, but do brands on the outside looking in, right, at the G5 level, let's say, are those brands also in play to get into these conferences as part of realignment? Because I think if you're sitting on the outside looking in as like a fringe bubble team, this is your only chance. Like, if you don't get in this wave, this next wave, I'm not sure you're getting in for a long time.
Well, I also think we've talked about Notre Dame ad nauseum, and I'll continue to say what I've been told repeatedly. Jack Swarbrick was the Notre Dame voice wanting to keep the ACC affiliation alive, and he retired. And while he is going to be a consultant for Notre Dame, I think that his voice not being the primary athletic voice of reason at Notre Dame makes their position much more unclear. And I think the only conference that Notre Dame joins is the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you look at what we've heard repeatedly and what I've told you guys for months and months, Notre Dame wants to play Michigan on a regular basis. They can't currently do that. The schedule doesn't allow for that. Well, let's fix that by joining the Big Ten. Michigan's a primary target for them. They have a long, respected, standing relationship with Purdue. Everything fits for Notre Dame in the Big Ten. I think that it is not a coincidence that you look up and down the roster of the Big Ten. Notre Dame's got long-standing relationships because of where they are located. They're, as we all know, they're in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
Which is in the heart of Big Ten country. I think you look at the history of Notre Dame football, their biggest games, I don't know, USC perhaps, that's in the Big Ten. Notre Dame is a great fit. And Jack Swarbrick, bless the man, saw an opportunity to solidify Notre Dame's reach with ESPN, yet keep his independence with NBC. And he took it. And I think he did well for Notre Dame. But if this whole thing is going to melt down, Notre Dame's best avenue and their best path to prosperity, which means access to winning national championships, is in the Big Ten, period. And I think the SEC is a very, very valuable conference. It is clearly the power player. But Notre Dame, as a Catholic university, I don't believe sees itself as a fit in the great South of the United States of America.
Agreed.
I think that Notre Dame values its Catholicism, its Catholic roots. I think Notre Dame values its Irish heritage, which is why they would join the Big Ten. And you look across this league, and whether it is theology, cash generating, academic affiliation, which I think Notre Dame values its relationship with Northwestern at a very high level. Northwestern is a prestigious university when it comes to academics, and Notre Dame, whether you know this or not, Notre Dame is incredibly difficult to get into and to achieve at a high level academically. And they take that seriously. It's why they have struggled to recruit at a high level consistently. But I continue to tell you, they value their academics. And it's one of the main reasons that Utah was such a crown jewel of expansion for the Big 12, because Utah is that university that values academics, that values research as a research institution. And you look at the money that comes through that funnel, and I'll continue to say it. And as much as you were right about Stanford not winning on the field, crippling themselves, I think at some point when you look at Notre Dame and you look at some of these other brands and you look at, it's one of the things that's very interesting about the Virginia schools. It is without question that they are very strong academic institutions.
Yes.
And I think the Big 12 is critically aware that their academics are not great.
Facts.
And that adding the Arizona schools, adding universities like BYU, adding universities like Cincinnati, they have raised their academic profile. And if you are able to benefit from the meltdown of the ACC, I don't think there is any question that the leadership of the Big 12 would very much like to raise the bar academically. Those presidents and chancellors would very much like that. And I think there is no question that the Virginia schools do that. Louisville certainly does that. Miami to a lesser extent. I am just very curious to see what is the tipping point for all of this. And I will again tell you, I believe that it is Notre Dame. I think North Carolina has very clearly, and you know, it was interesting yesterday. I was texting with a source of ours. Isn't North Carolina exactly where Utah was in the Pac-12? Because North Carolina's first choice is certainly not to burn down the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very interesting parallel in comparison.
I think that if you're UNC, much like Utah, you have to walk that line of, hey, we're gonna do so basically we're gonna operate in good faith as long as we can. Meaning, like, our intent is going to be to save the conference and do everything we can do to save the conference while also maintaining our financial footing, both at the on campus, but at the state level as well. Because I'm telling you, that's a huge factor in this conversation. Making sure that UNC continues to help the local economies and continues to have that impact. That's been going on for, however many years now, decades, right? So they care about that, but I would agree that that's a pretty good parallel. Like, we know that Taylor Randall and Mark Harlan and the folks at Utah took it very seriously. They took the Pac-12 to the absolute limit, like trying to save it and find a way to get folks like, Kase at Washington and all these old heads to come around to streaming. And obviously that never worked out, and it forced Utah to go ahead and pull the trigger on the Big 12.
And they stayed as long as they could possibly stay.
Yeah. And so for UNC, you're sitting here saying, okay, well, the ACC is obviously in a different position than the Pac-12 was, right? The Pac-12 grant of rights was expiring. So in the Pac-12, you had this ticking time bomb running out of time. Like, we were about to, get to zeros there. And that's why that pressure ratcheted up, where the ACC is much more of like hey, we've got a couple of unhappy schools, and UNC is sitting here saying, okay, they've kind of forced our hand. Now we got to start making public statements and stuff, which, by the way, I think they've done a good job not talking the last 2 weeks after that little debacle where Bubba Cunningham had to go back to campus and had to do all that. Like, that was kind of a circus, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that region, from what I understand, was sternly spoken with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it put North Carolina in a very odd spot. And I think Bubba Cunningham, as an operator, the athletic director at North Carolina, has done a very good job of back channeling and communicating. And I think a lot of that work was undone. And I think North Carolina and Utah are very interesting in that Utah waited as long as they could possibly wait. They supported their conference because I think we all agreed Utah was in a much better place financially in the Pac-12. Had there been a TV deal, that would not have changed. But now you're in the Big 12. You're making more money. But now I think you'd really like to build a much stronger base and foundation if you're Utah, because I don't think that Utah is in any way, shape, or form leveraged. I think Utah knows that their only next step would be a Super League. They're not – Utah, I think, wanted to join the Big 10. That was never an option for them.
Right.
They're in the Big 12 because that was their best, most comfortable landing spot. North Carolina has leverage that Utah never had, but North Carolina is going to wait as long as they can possibly wait before they make their hand known, because if North Carolina moves, this league falls apart.
Yep.
Without North Carolina and Duke, and I will continue to tell you, the heartbeat of this ACC conference is on Tobacco Road. Without North Carolina and Duke, that conference ceases to exist. And if North Carolina comes out and plays a hand and joins a lawsuit, the conference immediately collapses.
Right.
That's why you have not heard word one from any power player on Chapel Hill, because I think they understand the position they're in, which is very different than Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, I think, is in a position where they fully understand that they have a move left to play, but it's going to be their last move, because there is nothing forcing Notre Dame football to move.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, except the fact that the Big Ten will not take their sports without football. That's a significant asterisk in the Notre Dame Big Ten relationship. Because right now, and you know this, I'm sure, Notre Dame's an independent in football. And what have I been telling you for 2-3 years? There are very few levers that people can pull to make Notre Dame football move to a conference. Do they have access to the national championship? Well, that's been codified in the latest agreement with the college football playoff.
Yep.
Notre Dame's getting paid no matter what. Notre Dame's got access no matter what. Why on earth would they join a conference? Okay. What's the other lever? Scheduling. Well, I mean, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, and look at that. I just happen to have Notre Dame's schedule,
Well, Monty,
just pulled up. We try, to give you the information. Notre Dame has absolutely no problem scheduling. And when I say scheduling, I mean big games in big venues where national championship implications are on the line. Here's their schedule. At Texas A&M, big venue, big game, national TV. Northern Illinois at Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia Army at USC.
and that's not even one of their best schedules in recent
But
years.
They have USC national championship game on, is it the first week of the season? It's not. It's November 30th. And what did USC tell the Big Ten before they joined? We're going to play Notre Dame at the end of every season, no matter what. So the USC game now is a massive game because trust me when I tell you, boosters and supporters at USC have Lincoln Riley on a very short leash.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive, massive football game in the Coliseum in Los Angeles after Thanksgiving. They don't have trouble scheduling Virginia, Florida State. The Navy game's not going anywhere. Texas A&M. You look at those big brands. Notre Dame's easily getting into the top 12 this year. Because what do you not have? You don't have dummy head coach who can't have 11 guys on the field against Ohio State, right? Because you're going to be busy beating the brakes off of Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami of Ohio. Stanford's not going to be good this year. Georgia Tech, Navy, Virginia, and Army. They're going to the college football playoff.
And I might point out that, and again, it depends on which Notre Dame team we get. Obviously, some years they're not as good, and other years they're elite. So depending on which Notre Dame team we get, that Florida State game obviously could have massive college football playoff implications. I mean, you're talking about the final quarter of a schedule, and you're playing a team that most definitely is going to be in, the CFP conversation.
And again, I just continue to tell you about Notre Dame. They are a national brand. They recruit in every corner of the country. Their quarterbacks are from Los Angeles. Their linemen are from Ohio and Pennsylvania. Their wide receivers are from Florida and Texas. They can reach anywhere for any player. They are still, to this day, and listen, as a kid who grew up Catholic and is recovering from that, they are still one of the premier religious institutions on the planet.
God bless.
There's just no reason for them to move unless the ACC melts down. Because I think if they have to move their non-football sports, can you imagine Notre Dame going into the Big East? No, I can't. The AAC? No, I can't. They're going to join the Big Ten. And Notre Dame's going to have a significant voice in the direction of this conference.
Well, and obviously Notre Dame's relationship with NBC is, makes the Big Ten a very clear fit.
And the fact that you look at their recruits and you look at their classes year after year after year, even with can't count past 10 guy as their head coach. It's California. It's Florida, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Oregon, the Pacific Islands. You look at where Notre Dame's players come from. You look at the fact that Notre Dame very much allows their kids to do other things. You have four guys, including Faison, playing lacrosse, and they just won the national championship. You have 4 guys on your 2 deep on that lacrosse team winning a national championship. How many universities allow that? Almost none. But Notre Dame gives you that flexibility. NIL, money, they have it all. So this idea that Notre Dame's just going to throw their lacrosse team that just won the fucking national championship into Jimmy's little league down south is not going to happen.
No.
And when they join the Big Ten, they will do it as a full member.
And I just think it's, anybody who would suggest that Notre Dame, would join some low-end conference is just uneducated. I mean, Notre Dame's place in the landscape is very clear.
Yeah.
And they're a premier brand.
Yeah.
They are desired. For all the reasons you just laid out, like it's not in question, where Notre Dame would go. And that's why I say, like, I feel like a big difference between the ACC situation and schools involved in that versus what the Pac-12 thing was, is that there was so much uncertainty about where these schools would go coming out of the Pac-12. Like, obviously, we got to a point where it was like, all right, so we're going to get Oregon and Washington and these schools going here and Utah and yada, yada. Like, we got to that point, but there was probably a 90-day window there where people were like, dude, like, where are these schools going to go? Like, are they going to, form like a mini conference, or like what? Like, are they going to go to the Mountain West, or like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the ACC situation, it's pretty clean cut. Like, you understand the brands that would go to the Big Ten, the brands that would go to the Big 12, and then you've got a couple of schools that I think fall off into the G5 realm.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. The North Carolina and Notre Dame, and I think the Big 12 will ultimately be the big winner if the ACC melts down. But if you're the Big 10 and you end up with Notre Dame and North Carolina, and I think Carolina and Duke are tied at the hip, and if you end up with Stanford, because think about, and I think a lot of people look at Stanford, Cal, and SMU as a huge mistake by the ACC. I don't disagree it's a mistake. Is it a huge mistake? I don't know. SMU certainly hurt the ACC. There's 100%. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
But if you're Cal and Stanford, are you a package deal? Probably not. But if you are, I don't know, UCLA, are you lobbying for Cal to join the Big Ten? Yeah, we want to stop that calimony payment. This bitch needs to get married, man.
Yep.
Right? Like, you need.
Well, and I think for the Big Ten,
you need Cal to get help.
Dude, I think for the Big Ten, obviously they've got some prestigious brands, educationally speaking, in their conference. They do. But I think it's always good. And this is what we've said about Cal and Stanford since the beginning.
Yeah.
They are two educational powerhouses, and that's never been in dispute. Nobody's ever said, oh, well, you don't want to go to Stanford for an education. Like, yeah, obviously you do. And I think that the thing is that when you, and this would apply more to Cal than Stanford, because Stanford does have athletic heritage and they've done some great things in athletics.
So does Cal. It was before you were a thing, but so does Cal.
Yeah, I guess my opinion as not someone who was born before the 90s is Cal doesn't have that same level of like Cal,
they don't have David Shaw and Jim Harbaugh,
and they don't have Christian McCaffrey, and they don't have recent success. And so when I look at Cal, my point is that Cal's place currently, until they decide to figure it out athletically in modern day, is as an educational powerhouse that helps you that way, and they can help the Big Ten that way.
But who's the biggest name from Cal in the NFL? Aaron Rodgers?
Probably, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers or Jared Goff? Probably.
Yes, I would say so.
The fact that we're using probably and we'd have to guess. I think that if you could get Notre Dame, North Carolina, Duke, Stanford, and Cal, I mean, you're in a different stratosphere. At that
you're
point,
golden at that point,
right? And you'll do what you have to do to round out their schedules, but it really helps you with your Pacific arm, with Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. If you add Cal and Stanford, that's not a reach.
Yeah, and I think if you're the SEC and you're looking at this, that's something that I don't know that I would say the SEC needs to be concerned per se, but I do think it's something you need to pay attention to, because the Big Ten, while they are still number 2 to the SEC, I would say, is slowly closing that gap. If you continue to expand that conference into a more national picture, then that matters. Like that, there's no question that matters.
If that were to happen, the SEC would have to get Miami and Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, have to. I just don't see any way that
you can't allow the Big Ten to be everywhere and then also have Florida.
The biggest issue is, at what point do you become bloated if you're the Big Ten? It's a huge problem, but you've put yourself in this position by taking those 4 teams from the West Coast. And it really is again, and I know we all hate this, but doesn't it come down to the Super League?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of this goes away with the Super League. All of it goes away. Every single detail that we are discussing goes away when the Super League happens.
Yeah.
So that's why I think North Carolina and Notre Dame are in no hurry to melt down the ACC, because I think all of us know where this ultimately is going.
Yeah.
And the consternation, frustration of being in a 57 league team league, like how do you handle 25 to 30 teams in one conference?
I don't know, but I think someone's going to have to figure that
Good
out, because
Lord.
that's what the future is.
I mean, it truly is. It truly is one of those things where you just have to. You're just going to have to figure out what is the best course for you. Is joining the Big Ten for 2 years before a Super League good for anybody?
Well, I think the question would be
Probably not.
So with the Super League, I think there's still questions around conference affiliation. So like Super League is obviously football only, right? Your badminton team doesn't have access to the Super League, right? Like, so if we look at the Super League and we say, okay, a 25 team Big Ten conference obviously has most of its members from a football standpoint in the Super League. So they can afford to be bloated, but I don't know, man. I think there's still a lot of questions around how that would work in totality. Like, it's pretty clear how it would work in football, but if you're these conferences and the Big Ten is 20 plus teams, the Big 12 is like 18, maybe 20 teams.
I think you would be, if the ACC melts down and you add 6 teams. Let's play the what if game.
Yeah.
If you add 6 teams, you're how are you going to schedule badminton? If you add the Virginias, let's say you add the Virginias, Louisville, and Pitt.
Yeah.
Let's say you add those 4 teams. Man, like you're 20 plus at that point. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how you schedule that in your stick and ball sports, in your swimming meets. How many, and the other thing, again, the elephant in the room that we haven't even touched on is what's going to happen with Title IX?
Another great question. Massive unknown.
Because I think that is a big financial impact. And again, I'm in the boat that says, if you're paying NIL back payments, women are included in that.
Yeah.
NIL, it didn't say, well, this is just a lawsuit to cover men. Title IX specifically protects equality for women and really equality for all, but it specifically protects equality for women. And it doesn't say excluding NIL, and it doesn't say excluding the Super League, and it doesn't say, it simply says equality. There are no asterisks. There are no what ifs, ands, and maybes. It protects equality across the board, and that includes NIL lawsuits. So are you really telling me that all of these women that are great basketball players, the Diana Taurasi's of the world, the prolific Skylar Diggins college basketball player, the Caitlin Clark college basketball player from the 90s and 2000s, are you telling me they're not going to get NIL money? Are you telling me they're not going to get revenue sharing? Title IX doesn't have an exception for revenue sharing.
Yeah, you don't just get to skip over the women's side of the game. Like,
I think it's going to be very interesting. You are not in a position where you can just say, well, it's football money, so Title IX doesn't count. It's not how Title IX works, man.
Yeah.
That's not how equality works. If you are revenue sharing, share all the revenue. And I think the thing that's so interesting is it's not profit sharing, it's revenue sharing. Those are two very different things.
Yes.
Profit sharing and revenue sharing are two different things. So ultimately, I think there's a lot of unknowns here. I think that's why you're not seeing. I think if none of these NIL lawsuits had happened, the ACC would be gone already.
Mm-hmm.
If the Super League wasn't a very good possibility, the ACC would be gone already. Right? But I have no doubt that the Super League is football only, and it impacts very little at the bottom line. Because I think, and we've had these conversations with people about, again, stick and ball sports is what I always bring up. Baseball and softball make you money. You're on TV. The College World Series starts today in softball.
Right.
Texas and OU. Do you think ESPN's putting that on national TV for free? No, it's a revenue generating sport. So stick and ball sports aren't going anywhere. Now, are you also telling me lacrosse, which is on TV and generates revenue, it's not going anywhere? My question is, how many of these sports become club sports? Subsidized, not paid for, subsidized by their university. I think that's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a real possibility. But we'll see. All of this is conjecture, and I think it's a fascinating conversation. And again, if you're just tuning in, I see a bunch of people hopping on the show this morning. We are talking about the ACC and this interesting salvo thrown up by the legislature in North Carolina that has North Carolina lawmakers requiring the state's two biggest and richest athletic departments at UNC Chapel Hill and North Carolina State to regularly play football and basketball games against other in-state universities and each other. And you look at the fact that they are saying sports tourism is vital to the economy of North Carolina. It's a priority for the General Assembly to encourage intrastate collegiate athletic rivalries in order to promote economic development. Well, why would those intrastate rivalries be in jeopardy? Oh, because they're not going to be in the same conference anymore. So, Georgia Technical Institute, Wake Forest, Appalachian State, Charlotte. Charlotte's a great athletic brand. Whether you want to talk about it or not, their basketball program's phenomenal. How much damage is done if UNC and NC State join different leagues?
A lot.
How much? And I know we don't talk about this, but how much damage is done to NC State when they join separate leagues? A lot. I think a lot. We need that drop from 21. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot. I think NC State is... I don't think NC State is a massive brand. I don't think NC State is anything more than Jim Valvano running around in his blazer after an unbelievable tip-in. That's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a football brand. It's a basketball brand, which is fine. North Carolina's not a football brand. It's a basketball brand. Oh, wait, they just had the, Drake May, pick number 3? So you're putting Mitch Trubisky, the fucking asshole. You're putting Mitch Trubisky in the NFL draft. You're putting quarterbacks at the top of the NFL draft. Maybe you are a football brand. Yeah. NC State is not. NC State's not. And I am curious, and I know NC State fans always get belligerent.
Monty, come on.
No, Monties. Hey, Monty. No, hey, Monties. North Carolina State's not a great athletic brand. Sorry. They're not. Anybody like, man, I got to watch that NC State game. No, me either. That's just the hard truth. They're damaged the moment they leave the ACC because they're not a secondary brand. They're like a third-tier brand in any conference they join. They're a fucking third-tier brand now.
Yeah,
in the ACC. Let's not forget that. Again, North Carolina and Duke run that league, and where they go, I think the ACC follows.
Yes.
So if they leave, I think the ACC falls apart. With all due respect, please, Seminole fan, don't lose your mind in the comment section. Well, you're going to anyway.
Right.
But with all due respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Okay, less of us, more of you. The comment section on the Monty Show presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports brand. Very interesting that we get the NBA Finals starting tomorrow. The Stanley Cup Finals starting Saturday. Oh, Monty, you know how far it is from your mom's house to South Florida?
We show up.
We have airplanes. Why does it matter how far Edmonton is to South Florida? If I see one more graphic on SportsCenter, oh, look at this, man. Wow. The earth is flat. It's the shortest point between two, the shortest distance. It's geometry. Fuck it. My point is, I'm tired of hearing
triangles.
but man, it's Edmonton. And holy shit, it's far. Okay, don't go. Don't play the series then. Can't afford the jet fuel. We get the Stanley Cup Finals starting Saturday. We get the NBA Finals starting tomorrow. Oh, Monty, Kristaps Porzingis is back. We're saved. No, you're not. You're going to win the series anyway. But my point is, never a better time to download the Prize Picks app than right now, today. We've also got the Colonial going on this weekend, one of the signature events in Galf.
No Monties.
No Monties. Monty. No Monties. Which is different than Del Monte. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching at Prize Picks, which very simply means you put in $5, they'll give you $5 more. You guys, you can play for a month on $20. Put in 10, they'll give you 10 more. Win your money. I keep telling you, and the guys at Prize Picks probably don't love the fact I say this, but it's not hard to win money on Prize. Well, if you're Jake, it's not hard to win money on Prize Picks. It truly is not. Less or more. Less or more. How many times has Jake had sex? 0. Less or more. Less.
No.
Done. You won. See? Very simple. Very simple. Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show. Download the app. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show by using promo code Monty.
Now, can we not mess it up in the comments today? Like
it's gonna happen,
dude. We're starting the second hour here. We haven't even gotten to Pat McAfee's BS apology yesterday. So can we just be really good on this topic before we go total dumpster diving?
Aaron Wilson, America's newest mail carrier. Aaron Wilson.
Go, baby.
So happy for you, Aaron. I know you're building your life and you're doing great, dude. I'm proud of you. Aaron Wilson got a job as a mail carrier. Way to go, bud. Thank you for being a member of the show for 14 months. Pew pew. Rack 'em. Lopes fan Gabe, hello. Hit the like button, casuals. Absolutely.
Hold on. Did that say member for 17 months?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Okay.
A member for 17 months. My man. Way to go.
I don't
know,
dude.
I don't.
If you guys are glitching today on the stream, I apologize.
Not our fault.
The internet's good. Like, everything's fine. The software's a little glitchy today.
Like button, please hit the like button if you're one of our folks watching on the old X machine. Hello, Twitter.
X.
Appreciate all of you guys. We are pushing 500 to 1,000 views a day on Twitter, unpromoted. Just SEOing the F out of this thing. So we appreciate you guys on Twitter. Come on over to YouTube. Hit subscribe on The Monty Show. Just Google search The Monty Show. It comes right up.
We get a call yesterday. Well, Monty, how do you guys do it on YouTube, man? Like, what's the process look like? So
a radio guy we know called us and was like, hey, man, we're really struggling over here on YouTube. And he's like, I see that your viewership's up and you guys have 103,000. And it's like, dude, YouTube is not rocket science.
No, it's not.
YouTube does not require much. Come on over to YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, hit the like button. Give us a subscribe. Thank you, Lopes fan Gabe, for being the very best part of this show. Hero 75. If Notre Dame comes to the Big Ten, I fully expect that they will bring Stanford with them. They brought them into the ACC. I don't see Notre Dame leaving them out in the cold. I could see them as a package. I don't know that Notre Dame brought Stanford to the ACC. I think that Jack Swarbrick was absolutely somebody that was a vocal proponent of expanding when the Pac-12 melted down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Big Ten was not willing to go past Oregon and Washington in that manner. I think that if Stanford and Cal are available and you can get Duke, North Carolina, Stanford, and Cal, you're going to do that. There's just no question you're going to do that. I think it's very interesting. Notre Dame just has no reason. I mean, you certainly don't have a strong strength of schedule as we discussed, and you have an auto bid to the college football playoff.
Well, and I think that's exactly it. Like, you've carved out your place to a point where it's not in question that you're auto bidding into the college football playoff. And I think that's the biggest thing. And obviously, a 5-win Notre Dame team is not in the college football playoff. But if they're just 9-10 wins, they're in. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt. And it's just my opinion. But I don't have any doubt that you're looking at something where if you are Iowa, if you are Minnesota, you're irrelevant in a lot of ways in the Big Ten now. And Iowa has been a historical, powerful brand. And I think there's a lot. You're either competing now or you're not. Like, does anybody notice that Illinois is competing in football and basketball at a much higher level now?
Right.
Why is that? Because you're incentivized to make more money. And I think that's why you're seeing that Illinois in basketball and football is excelling now. I'm very curious to see, if you're 18 teams, I'm really curious to see exactly how all of that plays out. And I'm very curious to see if you are 18 teams now, how many teams can you add and feel good about it? Do you want to be the first conference to 22, 24? I don't know that you do. I think that is just such a
lot.
Flipping headache, man. And I just don't know. I don't know how you reconcile that. I don't know how do you schedule beyond 20 teams?
Well, I think the only thing that reconciles it or justifies it is revenue. That's your only justifier. Hey, if I can bring in these brands, then we can get to this level. And again, that's why I'm telling you, whether you're trying to expand to 10 teams or 50 teams, it always matters what schools you're expanding with. And I think that's why when we get last week, Brett Yormark saying, hey, we're not actively, looking for expansion partners. You know why that is? Because they already know who the expansion partners are. And they know what the move is they're going to make.
Because what are you, 18, I guess, in the SEC? You're 18 in the Big Ten. Like, those two conferences, I just don't know. How are you courting 20, 22, 24 members? I mean, if you are 18 teams now and you add at a minimum 4, you're 22. Are you not taking Notre Dame? You're 23. You're not going to stick on 23. You're probably going to go to 24. So you probably are going to invite Miami or Florida State, but I would imagine Florida State would prefer the SEC. I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting conundrum that I don't think has an easy answer.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, every college football source I have says when you pass 20, you are in a world of hurt scheduling. And I couldn't agree more.
No, I agree.
Brandon Moore for $5. ACC's demise is from poor leadership, not because of poor brands. I don't think there's any. I don't think anybody says that they lack brands. I think what you see is a group of universities that wanted stability. ESPN offered that. So you signed a grant of rights, which turned around and was used to create a TV contract. Because again, I would remind you, those are two separate entities. The grant of rights and the TV contract are not the same thing. And I don't know why people struggle with this concept. The grant of rights is the universities to the conference. The conference then turns around and signs a TV contract with ESPN in this case. It's a separate document. It's a separate thing. And when you look at breaking the grant of rights and you look at the impact that that has on your TV contract, it is significant. And it's why I think you have a lot of secrecy. Big 12 will be the number 3 conference because of leadership, vision, and clear direction. I don't disagree with that.
Well, and I also think they're the number 3 conference because they don't have the best brands. Like, this is not hard to understand.
I agree with that. I don't. Yeah. We'll see. Let's get some of your comments in here. D-Rock Irish, hello. NIL update. Yesterday, Florida High School Athletic Association will allow high school athletes to receive NIL deals. Correct?
Nice.
Correct. James, I'm talking about numbers of scholarships. Oh, boy.
Oh, dear.
Football should be exempt from Title IX, equal numbers for all other sports. Why would you make football exempt? You already don't allow women to play football. So why would we exempt football from revenue sharing? I don't know why you would do that. That would be much to that would damage your other sports, not help them.
Right.
Right? Dakota. Realistically, I think the 12 only is able to add Louisville, Miami, Virginia Tech, and NC State. The conference won't get both Virginia schools. University of Virginia has its choice of destinations. Truth. And I think the Big Ten.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Virginia's a Big Ten school.
I think Virginia would very much join the Big Ten. But again, it's this game that we always play. Well, do you value Cal or Virginia? Well, my guess is you would value Cal because it gives you the Western stronghold. And again, what happens if the ACC melts down? Does Oregon State and Washington State find a home?
Again, another great question, which I think none of the talking heads or the pundits are discussing this.
Yeah.
Hey, what does the outside looking in opportunity look like?
Yeah. D-Rock says Notre Dame holding their cards in hand for now. Let it play out. Yeah. Why would you tip? I agree, D-Rock. I don't know why you would. If you're Notre Dame, why would you at all tip your hand as to what you believe or feel?
Yeah, you wouldn't. And I think that's why they continue to be in a great spot.
And I think it is to their detriment if the ACC melts down. Because I think it could be one of the levers. It could be that lever that gets pulled to move them into the Big Ten. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Eric and Raleigh, SEC in the Big 32.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good morning, OG Gary. Like all 12 of your teams are in play here.
Yeah, I mean, are you okay, dude? Because I know there's a lot of emotions here with all these teams.
If you're new to the show, we always joke with OG Gary that because he was all of a sudden a Michigan fan when Michigan was competing. And he's an LSU fan.
Now he's a Charger fan.
And a Charger fan and a Saints fan. And he's a huge fan of your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got more fandom across this country than anybody else I know.
Bruh.
If the ACC implodes, why not just go straight to Super League? Leave the Big 3 BS alone and go straight into the Super League. Because the Super League is a process. And I think that if what we have been told and what we've been telling you on the show is correct, I think the soonest that could happen is 2026.
And by the way, the Super League's only a football thing. You have to still have conferences for your other sports.
Which is why I also think that the ACC could have life after football. I think if the Super League happens, the ACC is a very viable league.
Yeah.
Which I think Notre Dame would love because then they get to stay independent. I think the ACC as an athletic league is viable. As a football conference, it is not. Because there is this ceiling that they've run into financially, I think. And I think while they currently distribute more money than the Big 12, the new TV contract kicking in for the Big 12. I think that they continue to grow in prominence in basketball. Hell, BYU basketball is recruiting their ass off right now.
Right.
Right? Like, I think the Big 12, and it's an interesting debate about what's the more attractive conference, the Big 12 or the ACC. And I don't think it's a debate. I think the foothold and the foundation, the stability that the Big 12 has because of Brett Yormark's leadership, it makes it a far more attractive conference. And if you're a brand like a Pitt, Miami, I think Miami would tell you today if they were in the Big 12, they'd win the league every year for the next decade. Now, I would like some of what they're smoking, but that is what they believe.
Right.
Because I tell you regularly, and Okie Light fans lose their shit over it, but it's a truth. This league doesn't have a football brand.
Don't talk crap about my team.
Right? Like, this league doesn't have a brand. And it is, for football, the fact that Utah is one of the favorite teams, and take your FPI and put it where you will, Utah's the best football program in this current incarnation of the Big 12. And the perennial disappointment is Mike Gundy. I think it's make or break right now. Because if you're ever going to win this league, it's going to be this coming year. Because all hell's going to break loose, I think, no earlier than this fall, August.
Right.
And then the league's going to change again, in my opinion. But let's see what happens. Let's see. Are we going to go to trial, or are we going to drop the lawsuits in the ACC? Are we just going to continuance, and hold tight until we figure out the Super League stuff? Because I think the Super League placates people like Florida State and Clemson. Nobody cares about Clemson.
No.
Come on, man. Let's see. Who else is in this morning? Boy, you guys in the comments section are raucous. UW fan Jim Roma Dunze. I'm a Bears fan now.
Dude.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Keep your goddamn hands off my Chicago Bears, Jim. James, Jimmy. What's wrong with Seahawk? Never. No. I'm not playing your game today, Jim. Oh, Roma Dunze. You know, he's that guy that just runs past everybody.
Well, Monty.
No well Monties. Okay. I'm kidding. Steve Stepanek. Could the other sports be broken up in regions but staying in their own conference? I think
first of all, Steve, dude.
Yeah.
Good comeback here. You had a rough couple of days. This is a decent comment out of you.
You've been on one lately.
Yeah.
Do you prefer divisions or not? In the current incarnation of college sports, do you like, the Big Ten West?
The Big Ten West.
I'm much more of a non-division, straight up, who's the best team in the conference.
100%.
I'm much more into that.
I want Ohio State, Michigan as many times as we can get it.
But when the Big Ten has, 84 teams in it next week, it won't be next week. When the Big Ten breaks 20, you have to have divisions. Or you go Super League and you have a conference with divisions inside of the conference. NFL model. Who knew? Dakota Tubbs. Gary is a Chargers fan now, too. What the fuck, Gary?
That's what I said.
Gary gets on them sites in China and buys jerseys better than anybody else.
Ooh.
You know.
Thought he was on some different sites there.
Gary's probably going to lose his mind. James, if the Super League is football only, it would make sense for USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington to reform the Pac-10 for non-football sports and add San Diego State and San Jose State to replace the Arizona. So again, maybe it's just smoke your peyote day. I have no idea. How...
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
James, how much crack have you used today? So let me get this right. We're going to reform the Pac-12. but we're going to do it without the Arizona schools.
Excellent strategy,
And USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are going to leave the Big Ten and its $100 million payday so that you can keep your drug dealer in business by thinking they're going to reform a conference that couldn't fucking get a TV deal.
Me?
Well, listen, Monty.
Monty.
I know they couldn't get a TV deal, but the truck stop, the flying J hot rollers that Jake eats off of every chance he gets. I mean, how is USC? Now, listen, and I know they pack their shit and move to Chicago, but there are moving trucks that come west all the time.
You know.
I love that thing too. Well, what do you think? Utah's going to move to Texas? Hey, I don't know if you guys know this. Just because you change conferences doesn't mean like you physically pick up.
But Monty, the flight is really long. Come on.
Listen. We all know that the Echo School of Business, like they picked that bitch up and put it on a truck and they moved it out. It is the truck stop conference.
I don't really get it.
They're not reforming the Pac-12, sir. Go to rehab. They're not reforming. Well, USC would leave. Think about what you just said.
A lot.
They couldn't get a TV deal, but they're going to leave $100 million on the table to go reform the Pac-12. And they're going to do it without the Arizona schools.
Monty, Apple TV, though. Come on.
They're going to do it without the Arizona schools. You know. Forest trees, Monty goggles. Exactly.
the whole Monty thing on this show is truly one of the best things.
But do you like think about the shit you say before you bite into that Buc-ee's sandwich, James? You're like, wow, they're going to leave the Big Ten. They're going to reform it.
Monty, what has a better chance of happening? Mike Gundy wins Coach of the Year, or the Pac-12 gets rebooted?
Because from what I understand, Oak State could join the Pac-12 at any moment.
Yeah, and by the way,
But
Oak State, if they were to reboot the Pac-10,
they'd be the biggest brand in the Pac-10.
Yeah, they'd dominate. They'd be the best. Write it down. And if they're not, I'll buy you a Buc-ee's sandwich.
Mike Gundy wins every year. Wins what is the big question, James? Wins what? Ed Enriquez, UTEP to the big, gives you West Texas and New Mexico. Yeah, I mean.
But it's the pipeline to Mexico. Santa Fe is the new home of the Big Ten.
And they're going to, every year now, will celebrate UTEP into the Big Ten by having Skull Burlap Sack Night, where you get your own head in a
Skull Burlap Sack Night.
Do you know how close UTEP is to Mexico? Like, I mean, Mexico. Mexico, Mexico.
Bro.
The country. Yeah, no, I'm good. UW fan Jim, now with 12 playoff spots, I like the division and conference champions. I like play it straight up. Play it straight up. K. Sumbry, Oak State has always been the biggest brand in the Big 12 behind OU in Texas.
The low-key insult that you just rolled out into that comment is well done.
Okay. Mike Smith, Monty picks on James, but he also knows that James is a vital part of the show and its success. I love James.
We pick on Gary, too. We pick on Dubinsky.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The problem is we can't pick on Mountain Mama because he doesn't say stupid shit like Buc-ee's is the best barbecue sandwich in the country. He doesn't say stuff like that. He doesn't say that USC and UCLA are going to leave the Big Ten to reform the Pac-12.
That's right.
Oh, my God. Like this show on a daily basis, I'll tell you. Pac-12 reboots first. Exactly. You know. James, please share your peyote with me. Exactly. Look. I love the Pac-12 when it was still here, but it's gone. No matter what you do, and I know you're Oregon State and Washington State, we get it.
No matter who you are, no matter what you do,
you're going to lose to Rollacock in that lawsuit.
Like
Let's be honest
done,
about it.
This has been over with, man.
Come on. Oh, wait, here we go. I was talking non-sports football sports for stick and ball sports. It makes sense for Cal schools to play each other. Even if it's Big Ten West, then they should play Utah Colorado, San Diego State, and San Jose State
here's
non-con.
here's my question
Why?
though. Why?
What is your
where-
heart on for San Jose
I was
State?
gonna- where does
Stay hard.
dude? Where does San Diego State and San Jose State
Well,
come
listen,
from?
The San Jose State Spartans? Guys, Monty, we got to talk about that. Monty, we got to talk about this.
Monty,
Okay.
the truck stop on the San Jose State campus is pristine, and for that reason
Have you
alone,
been to the South Bay? I mean, San Jose State is not that far from the Apple campus. And I'll tell you what, the stadium they're building at the Apple campus is unbelievable, bro.
Bruh.
So, again, I'm just asking for a friend, not myself, not shit nuts over here. I'm just asking for a friend here on the Monty program.
Hey, Monty.
Two goals.
Why would you leave $100 million so that you could play fucking San Jose State?
We show up.
Was it Snapdragon?
The secondary sports play into the $100 million. Like your stick and ball sports, your basketball, your lacrosse at Northwestern, your penis car wash, all that plays into the $100 million.
Yeah, your bathroom Olympic team. You know,
So do you really think that if you're not playing secondary sports, which includes basketball, that you're going to get 100? You're not. And why San Diego State?
yeah. I need you to explain why San Diego State
And
San
why
Jose
San Jose State?
What is the? And I'm being
At least
serious,
come up
dude.
with UTEP, Mexico,
yeah.
right? Like, what are we doing? Mike Smith, F the Steelers and all things PA sports. Okay. I mean, just roll that out there.
Why don't you throw Pedo State in there too, dude?
Why not now?
Come on.
Mike Smith. Whoa. Monty Show has deep respect for sand schools. Damn American sand haters. That's when I'm a San Jose State, James.
I don't really get it.
Big Ten West teams can play San Diego State and San Jose non-conference, but you said they should
I'm
reform
trying to
the
understand.
Pac-12 and add San Jose State.
I'm giving you a fucking answer.
Now it's
People will
not.
read your positive shit.
Well, honey, I'm just saying now it can be non-con. I think what happens is James takes a hit off the peyote leaf, and then he's like, oh, I have clarity. San Jose State to the Big Ten West.
Oh,
Why don't they just reform the Pac-12? But fuck Arizona schools. Those four corners, suck it. We're doing San Jose State. But James, why would they leave $100 million behind? I meant football only.
and that's how I look at it.
But football, you meant non-football sports only, but that means basketball too. They could be non-con. Big Ten West, bitches.
I think I've hit it every time.
I love you, James.
You're the best, dude.
You do bring great comedy to the show.
You are goated at bringing out the Monty commentary.
You are. Travel costs. They already.
Monty.
So
listen,
if they add Stanford and Cal, that's you're now 6 teams.
listen, the diesel for our buses out of Stillwater is going to go way up if we add San Jose State, but it is
And I'm
offset by
saying,
all the non-con games.
Now that Buc-ee's is a sponsor of the Flyover Conference, you can get a killer deal on that diesel.
Diesel.
I mean, that diesel. God damn. I don't know. I got Yinzer relatives. This is about the only thing I love from PA. Wow. Okay. Pedo State is the worst. Has to be the Colombian good. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Monty.
saying, dude.
Monty, I got this Colombian good, and I was sitting over here with Bill Walton getting lit last night. And Bill and I talked about the fact that the Pac-12 was a conference of champions, and so we got to reform this shit.
Well, and Monty,
I mean-
because we played a game in Mexico in the Big 12, that's how we established the relationship with the Colombia cartel.
And did you guys hear that San Jose has its own airport? Really kind of cool. The Sharks fly out of there all the time. You should try it. Anyway, I don't have anywhere to go with that. Brandon Butler, James out here trying to get San Diego State the pro rata they deserve. I think the Rona ate the last 2 years of his memory. I agree.
The
I hope you're-
coronavirus.
I hope you're feeling better. Copter 69 is making movies out west to visit Sand School. Hey, Monty, it's James up here in Copter 69, Monty Chopper 86 and shit.
Yeah, Snapdragon's looking real nice, and the renovations that are happening on SJSU's campus are looking really pristine.
I'm flying over the visitor side of their stadium right now over here in San Jose. I can see different colors and stuff because I'm high as a fucking kite with San Jose.
Both literally and figuratively, Monty.
Did you guys see? Okay, so real quick sidebar. Did you guys? Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm doing a helicopter tour in Hawaii." Did you guys see the crash landing that helicopter did on Kauai the other day,
bro?
And the guy is like filming when his helicopter's going down, and it's one of those, tourist helicopters. And the guy pans up to the blades, and they're not moving anymore. Like he had originally panned up, and they were spinning. And then you see the copter doing this like dive and turn into this cove. And then he pans back up and he's like, what's going on? Yeah,
Hold on, bro. Like
the blade stopped spinning.
Dude.
Never getting on a helicopter.
Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna
Ever.
pass.
Ever. Oops, making moves, not movies. Not that there is anything wrong with making movies. Well, at Pedo State, you watch the content. Boyd Lake. Leave Buc-ee's out of it.
Oh,
okay.
funny.
Again, weren't we talking about doing a Buc-ee's reunion?
Yeah,
in
maybe.
Baytown, Texas? I believe we were.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I am actually considering a trip to California in December.
I need to evaluate Cal's campus. I mean, we're talking about rebooting the Pac-10, Pac-8 situation.
Monty, can you? I'm going to California, and I'm a little nervous about the hippie liberals out there, and they fly their pride flags and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out, Monty, am I going to get murked by a homeless guy in San Francisco? Because I've heard it's really bad.
Monty, do you know some guy named Gavin who runs California?
Can you put a good word in for me?
Lover boy.
California is not bad at all. Dude in the comments section yesterday, or 2 days ago, whenever we were talking about California, living in LA, it must have been Monday.
Yeah.
We're talking about it Monday. And this dude in the comments section is losing his mind about the liberal Democrats in California and how they're the reason there's so much homelessness and they're the reason that murder rate. I'm just like, how much time do you have in your day to come up with this stuff? Like,
a lot.
I am constantly amazed that every time we bring up the fact that I want to live in California, people are like, Monty, those liberal Democrats ruin everything. Just be careful, James. Those liberal Democrats will try to indoctrinate you. Like, who cares?
Dude.
You're not getting murked. Where in California are you going? They will never understand just how good Buc-ee's chicken sandos and brisket sandwiches are.
Well, Monty, listen, I'm tired of you mocking me about my trip to California, and Buc-ee's barbecue sandwiches. You haven't had them. You don't know anything about them. How can you criticize them?
OG Gary, who shockingly is also a Laker fan. After Kobe, I'm never getting on a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't take that Kobe flight. Big Daddy Ketchup Packet is here. He says, "Hey, playa."
Big Daddy Ketchup Packet.
If you're a members only group, I explained it. Big Daddy Magic sent me a video the other day talking about how a girl broke up with him because he called her a ketchup packet while she was ovulating, and she did not appreciate that. Mike Smith, am I the only one who is confused as to how Jim Jordan was the coach at Ohio State instead of Pedo State? How did this show get off the rails? For the record, I am a moderate. Okay, James, I'm glad that we,
moderately in love with the mullet.
Yeah, moderately high when I talk about reforming the Pac-12. Amazing. If you're just joining the show, we are talking about the ACC. We are talking about the ACC meltdown this morning, which of course is fine. UNC and NC State are not tied together, as we've been telling you. Our sources confirmed months ago. that UNC and North Carolina State would be able to move independently. And now the legislature in North Carolina is putting legislation forward that would have a mandate in it to require NC State and North Carolina to play each other, and also, Charlotte, as well as the Technical Institute of Georgia, which is still the greatest name. But I digress. North Carolina legislature wants to protect the relationship of schools in North Carolina by law, making it so that they have to play each other for tourism dollars. I think all of this to say the ACC is clearly heading in the direction where it will not exist anymore, at least in football. And our big question this morning has been who goes where and how, and will, in fact, the Big 12 end up being the big winner if the ACC melts down? Because I still maintain that there are real possibilities that the Virginia schools, Louisville and Miami, could potentially end up in the Big 12. Now, we have told you for months now that Brett Yormark has, in fact, had long, substantial conversations with just about everybody in the ACC, vetting out who's a real contender to join the conference. I think the biggest issue is going to be who does the Big Ten want? Because as we just discussed, I do believe that Virginia is a great candidate to join the Big Ten. Is Pitt a suitable replacement for Virginia? I think Pitt is a natural member of the Big 12. Regionally, rivalry-wise, West Virginia-wise,
Yeah.
that game should be protected and played every year, and it should be a game of leverage, much like BYU and Utah. And I think it will be at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I do believe that it will be. Ed Enriquez, UTEP, New Mexico State are a package deal to any power conference. No truck stops needed. I agree. New Mexico fans have such a red ass about themselves too, by the way.
Yes.
If the ACC meltdown, Big 12 needs to grab SMU.
Well, Monty, it's a pipeline to Texas, Omni Hotel.
There is real hatred between SMU and TCU. Good rivalry game possibility. Nobody wants SMU. And I continue to say this. I said it when they joined the ACC, and everybody's like, hey, Monty. No, hey, Monty. I told you when they joined the ACC, it was a mistake.
Right.
And it's been a huge mistake.
Yeah.
It's been something that Clemson and Florida State are actually leveraging in their lawsuits.
Yeah, I don't think the ACC quite understood what they were doing with SMU.
I would agree.
I think
100%
SMU was like, hey, we better let these guys in for nothing because we need to say that we expanded the conference, when in reality, there is no substitute for, hey, we win a lot, so we're relevant, so add us. And we lose a lot, we're not relevant, you shouldn't add us, yet you still did.
And I think the biggest question here is timeline. For people like SMU, Stanford, Cal, you're on shaky ground already. You're not welcome in the good old boy network that is the ACC. I think, and I want to say we have been talking about how Cal and Stanford don't fit into the values of the southern states of our country. And it was always an awkward fit. The issue with SMU is thirsty. They're desperate. And I think they really hurt their brand and the brand of the ACC. Truly. And the only way you're going to undo that is to win the whole damn thing. And you're not going to do that at SMU.
Right.
You're not going to do that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all that plays out. And I truly think the timing of the Super League is playing a critical and really influential role in what is happening in the ACC, because you're not going to join the Big Ten for 2 years. And I think the Big Ten, the SEC, Brett Yormark and the Big 12 has been incredibly savvy about their conversations with these potential new members. And I've heard this about Brett Yormark directly, that he has talked about the fact that you need to be all in or not in at all in the Big 12. And he is wisely pointing that at people like Gonzaga and UConn, because I also think those two schools are up for play when realignment happens again. And I think I don't quite have a grasp on why Gonzaga has not accepted an invitation to the Big 12. I don't have a grasp on that, because their situation is uniquely unaffected by a Super League, because they don't play football. And I do think there is some credence to what happens to St. Mary's. Is St. Mary's a legitimate P4 contender? That's a power basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
Power basketball program. Those of us with WCC knowledge know that. St. Mary's and Gonzaga, two really good brands. Ask any BYU fan about them.
Yep.
Two really, and again, St. Mary's has a really good athletic program. And I'm curious, is Gonzaga hesitant to join the Big 12? And did they ultimately make a mistake not joining the Pac-12? I don't know. Had Gonzaga taken that invitation 5 years ago when it was given to them to join the Pac-12, where would they be today?
Who the hell knows?
I don't know. But my feeling is that Gonzaga is concerned about the finances of joining the Big 12, because it would be a significant step up in revenue, but it'd also be a significant step up in infrastructure. And I'm not just talking travel cost. One of the things we've talked about with Gonzaga for so long is they do a really good job with human resources. They are not a bloated staff. They are not a bloated university. They do not have multiple layers of management. One of the big complaints about Washington State, how many human beings does it take to run an athletic department?
Seriously. One
of the things that I think Gonzaga has real concerns about, from what I've heard, is the human expense that it is to join a P4. Because you have to hire significantly more people. So you are paying them salaries, you are paying them benefits, including retirement. That's a lot of money. You are then having to pay for extra travel expenses that are long reaching. You look at the trek from Spokane to Morgantown. That is absolutely something that Gonzaga has considered. And they're not going to be a full revenue sharing member, because they would only be secondary sports, including basketball, obviously. And that, I think, is part of the problem for people like Gonzaga. And the bigger issue for UConn is nobody wants to pay for UConn football.
Nope.
And if you don't have an on-campus football stadium, South Florida,
yep,
you are a liability.
To which I say, South Florida's meeting about their stadium. South Florida wants to rectify the situation. They want to be in a better spot to get into a P4.
Yeah.
Or I guess what would be a P3.
Yeah. Steve Stepanek, SMU will be in the American when the ACC melts down. Because I'm telling you, and I'm not even hating on SMU, but fuck SMU.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Nobody wants SMU. They're not. And it was so funny when it was said at the time, and I think we laughed about it. But you have all of this money, and you won't shut the up about your collectives and how deep their pockets are. Why
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Then why haven't you won?
Yeah. Well, you got all this money for NIL. Why haven't you won? Oh, that's right. Nobody wants to play for you. There's bigger brands.
If you're a kid in Anywhereville, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, any corner of that state. And let's throw out Texas. Let's throw out Texas A&M. Let's say you're sitting down at a table, and Chrome Dome at Baylor is there. Sonny Dykes at TCU is there.
Excuse me. It's 8-ball Aranda.
Thank you. Baylor, TCU, and SMU are all sitting at a table recruiting you.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to Texas. You're not going to OU.
Right. You're not going to A&M. Bid into the NFL guy.
You're a 3 or 4 star player. TCU, Baylor, and SMU. Are you even talking to SMU?
Yeah, you're probably TCU, Baylor, leaning heavily towards TCU.
Aren't you telling SMU to speak when they're spoken to? With all due respect, you're going TCU, then Baylor, and never SMU.
Right.
And if Texas or again, let's say Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU are sitting at a table. Dude, that is a Pier 6 brawl to get that recruit. SMU's not even in that conversation.
Right.
And I know it says Dallas on their uniform. They're not even in that conversation.
Tarrant County, boy.
Can SMU compete with Houston in football right now? No, they can't. Let me ask you this. Here, let me be the asshole. Can they compete with UTSA in football right now? Sure they can. Sure they can, which is where they should be.
Yeah.
Oh, Monty, collectives. No, all Monties. Your collective has had millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for generations, and you haven't won. So don't sell me on a bill of goods that you're going to go to Charlotte and win now, that you're going to go play. You think you're going to Tallahassee and winning?
Why don't you fuck off?
Do you think you're going to Miami and winning?
No.
Do you think you're going to the Georgia Technical Institute and winning? You're not. You're not even a contender to win the ACC. Basketball, different story. I'm talking about football. With all due respect, and I'm giving you all the respect you are due.
Yeah.
You haven't won anything. You haven't proven anything.
Yeah, you're just not. You're just not there yet. And I again, that's why I say it's very clean cut. You know the teams that are in. You know the teams that are out. It just is what it is.
Caleb Aylmore, how angry would FSU fans be if SMU won the league this year? Jesus. Could you imagine that? Big Daddy Ketchup Packet. Hey, playa, have you ever heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Who's that? See, listen, can I just ask?
What kind of question is that, dude?
I'm asking for a friend. What do you mean if I heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
What?
No, Monty, listen, they're a small town band from some town, and I don't even know, and I'm just curious if you heard of them. They're like 30 years old now, man. I don't know.
What do you mean if I heard of Red Hot Chili Peppers? What? Who hasn't? Can I just ask you? Who hasn't heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
It's a great question.
My God, I love you, Big Daddy Magic.
Just quick question. Where does that even come from? What made you think of that?
Stupid ass question.
You're filling in for somebody.
I don't know where that comes from.
Out of here.
Again, if Oak State James is smoking peyote, why are you asking me if I've heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
James, what? Back to back. Let's see what happens on September 28th. I have my ticket to see FSU at SMU. Pony up.
Bro.
Now you're an SMU fan.
Dude.
I know they own Dallas.
Your wife is a Baylor fan. Did you have an ex-girlfriend that was an SMU fan? Is that the
Are we no longer Oak State fans after they murked a Longhorn on your front lawn? Was that a deal breaker? Maury Alvarez. Hello, my great Floridian. But SMU totally owns Dallas. Oh,
hey,
lock, stock, and barrel.
Wow.
SMU shot J.R. Ewing. JB Skis. I would rather add San Jose State than SMU.
You ought to know. You bought it.
Oh, Monty, the campus renovations are quite amazing. I mean, it's well worth your time.
So good. So good. So good. Maury Alvarez says, oh, sorry, I mean, SMU is Dallas. Yeah, it says it on their uniform. Mike Smith, you have to wonder if Yormark has any interest in Creighton. How would you not have interest in Creighton? Good basketball only school in the Midwest. Yeah. Nebraska, for sure. Oak State James, the peyote smoking fool. There will be a lot more SMU. Wait, there will be a lot more fans at SMU games if they beat FSU at.
Dude, bro, Yeah, that's like saying there'd be a lot more Monty program listeners if we were on ESPN, dog. Like, what do you mean? They're not. That ain't happening, dude. Come on.
SMU went to the portal and improved their O-line. They will be better this year.
Dude,
How have you not talked about their quarterback?
Dude.
Quite literally, Oak State James strengthens his forearms to the quarterback at SMU on a regular basis. On a regular basis. Oh, he's amazing, bro.
The cock.
Have you ever watched that guy comb his pubes? Like, it's
Monty, talk about some pulled pork.
I freely admit I'm going to hell. I don't even have to buy me a ticket.
And it sucks.
James, I like the fact that SMU is back. SMU and Oak.
Whoa, you did not just say.
Wait, I'm sorry. I thought Texas was back.
Holy shit, you did not just say, quote, SMU is back. They were never here, bro. Like, what do you mean? Dude. Well, Monty, the Mustangs are Mustanging.
Shut the fuck up.
Like,
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
SMU is back.
hold up. Is this a real? Are you trolling with this? Or is this your actual? If you're trolling, that's some of your best work. But if that's a real comment, dude, we need to talk.
SMU is San Jose State back? Like,
Yeah, no duh.
SMU is like, where do I go with that? I'm not like, do you know?
No, well, Monty's not on that shit, dude. Oh my god, dude.
Y'all reading all this cap ass shit.
Logan, we seriously talking about SMU again?
Yes, we are somehow.
Logan, I'd like to apologize to you. I feel as though somehow we've ruined your morning. And Monty, have you seen the stadium renovation at SMU? I mean,
Damn.
they got nothing on Tarrant County these days. Dakota Tubbs. Man, James is on that Tarrant County THC today. What happened to that Tokyo pot, James? I'm serious. Like, James going full captain. James going full Captain Hindsight. Tuhel's favorite superhero.
Dude,
oh my God.
this is incredible,
I can't
dude.
believe
This is
you said
truly incredible.
I like the fact SMU is like I want to be this far from reality just for 15 minutes. Like,
that's one of the best things anyone's ever said.
Can I get a ticket to this train out of town? Like, I don't know what happened that made you type the words SMU is back. They were never fucking here. How can they be back? Back to what? Back to what?
Oh my God.
SMU and Oak State have both been screwed by the NCAA and are both back. Oh, now all of a sudden Oak State is, I didn't read, oh my God. I didn't even read the second half.
Monty, you don't read my full comment. Read the full comment.
SMU and Oak State have both been screwed by the NCAA and both are back.
That's bullshit.
Oak State was never screwed. They're not back. They were never back to what? James, back to what? Are we driving Trans Ams and Eric Dickerson's got Jerry curl again?
It's easy hindsight.
Craig James's kid is still in the Connex box in Lubbock?
Holy crap.
What do you mean back to what? Oh my, this show is amazing. In the 80s, SMU had Dickerson, Oak State had Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. Ollie Gordon isn't even on the same. OG Gary, I think I need a new character on the show. James can have the fandom character. Right? Wet blanket. Oak State sure as hell was screwed by the NCAA, one step from the death penalty. We don't do that here because it's illegal.
Dude. Bro, I
don't break the rules because it's illegal.
I don't know. Like,
if SMU was so bad, then why are all the Super League models having SMU and 6 other Texas schools, OU and Oak State, and Arkansas in one division? Well, because you need 80 teams.
Yeah.
You need 80 teams.
Bro, don't spin this shit, okay?
Like,
what are you talking about?
Don't
spin it, dude. I like you, bro. But you can't say shit like SMU is back.
Jaron Eccles. Oh, SMU. Isn't that the team that drafted Caitlin Clark? Hope they win the cornhole championship.
Holy cow, bro. Like, you can't.
Exactly. You don't have Thurman Thomas and Barry. Do you understand that was the all-time, like the one and only? They're not back. They never were. So they can't be back. SMU didn't get screwed by the NCAA. SMU got caught cheating. I know we only apply the rules to people we hate. Let's see. Guys. Is Nebraska back? Yeah. Are we now? Can we now not ask about Texas being back? Can we just every week on the show during the season? Oh man, SMU. They beat the Chanticleers. They're back.
Bro, we need an account, a commenter account to say that's named SMU is back. I'm gonna need that in the comment section.
Have to have it. If I'll take that bet. If SMU wins on September 28th, you owe me a cougar tail.
Who are you, Big Daddy Magic? Like, what is this?
What am I going to get into human trafficking? So you can get some cougar tail? The MILFs and Draper are massive and amazing. James is not spinning. James is spitting facts at the American hating duo. That's right.
Apparently.
That's right. OG Gary, is Mizzou back? I believe they are. Dakota, your thoughts?
Kubinski.
Big Blue Horses, a member of the show for 7 months. FSU can kiss the donkey. Go Gators. Rock on. Can kiss. Okay. Stepanik. Hey, Monty. SMU still sucks. Somebody forgot to tell James. Baston Mapes. I think James hit it every time.
Dude, I'm serious. Like, I need to understand if that was a troll comment or not.
I think I've hit it every time.
How are SMU's locker room saunas, James? Exactly right. Kenneth Maynor. To me, Texas Tech is the best brand in Texas outside of Texas and A&M. I don't disagree with that.
When they're winning, though, dude, I think that
when they're winning,
they are incredible.
Jaron Eccles, legit question. Is Bishop Sycamore back?
Wow, bro. Wow.
Brandon Butler. He is going to need an OU long sleeve logo t-shirt. Exactly right.
Apparently.
Dakota Tubbs, play the sad music.
Okay.
Sigh, Gary. Mizzou has never been back. Oh, God. Chase Daniels, where did you go, you son of a bitch?
James, can we get Brandon Whedon into the program?
Oh, James, where's Mason Rudolph? Oh, did he get over the brain damage from that helmet concave in his skull? Oh! Thank God SMU is back. It hurts so much. I don't know what it hurts, but I just... Not trolling. QB Stone is a legitimate star. He will be the guy who replaces Dak and Dak.
Oh my God, you did not just say, dude. Okay, hold on. I just want to. I need to ask a follow-up question. So you're saying that SMU's quarterback is the next Dak Prescott and is replacing him on the Cowboys, right? Like, I got that right? Like, that's what that says.
Wow. He's the next Dak in Dallas.
Bruh.
Mike Smith, I've been married a long time. I'm waiting for Moorhead to be back. Bada bing! get it more.
Right.
Big Blue Horses, macaque, Mike Smith.
Yeah.
See?
Macaque.
Exactly right. Stepanik, a couple more, then we have to talk about expensive McDonald's before we leave you. LOL, SMU can join the College Mexican Conference. Okay.
The College Mexican Conference.
Logan says this has to be master level trolling. Has to be.
I mean, it has to be.
Stepanik wants to throw in there, Dak sucks too. Yeah, there you go.
Are the Cowboys back?
Stone isn't Ryan Leaf, but he'll do. Exactly. Oh my God. Oh my God. Buddy legit tripled down. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. It's amazing, dude. It is amazing. All right. All right. McDonald's is super expensive. Do we have the graphic on it?
No, not in there, but I have them here. I have them on my phone.
So McDonald's pricing has gone up substantially.
So this study was done and compared 1994 pricing to today's pricing, because everybody, there's been a bunch of stuff done on McDonald's like, oh, well, McDonald's raises prices, but it's only because of inflation. It's
over
not
30
because,
years.
It's not because of profit taking or anything like that, right? So I saw this the other day and I thought it was really interesting. In 1994, the cheeseburger meal was $2.99. Today,
jeez,
it is $9.89, which is $2.79 above the pace of inflation.
That is wild to me.
Double quarter pounder in 94 was $3.99. Today it's $11.89, which would put it
$11.89.
$3.35 above inflation. The Big Mac in 1994 was $2.99. It is now $10.29.
Get out of here.
$3.89 above inflation.
Who can I? And I'm being serious, you guys. Why do you go to McDonald's? Somebody needs to explain this to me.
Here's the topper, the one that we all know McDonald's for, right? The quarter pounder with cheese.
Yes.
The signature.
Best burger they have.
1994, $2.99.
Boom, do it.
Now, $10.49.
Damn.
And it is the leading item at $4.09 above the pace of inflation.
I'm just asking, why do you guys eat at McDonald's? I don't get it. I ask every time we talk about something stupid that they did. And whether it's, hey, have you got a colonoscopy, to why are you waiting in their line? And it's wild to me. Every McDonald's around my house has a line around the building. I have one of the big McDonald's where they have dual drive-through lines wrapped around the building out to the street. And I'm just asking, what are you doing? Why are you eating at McDonald's? They're price gouging you
terribly.
And the food is not that good.
Yeah, it's mid at best.
I'm going to Jack. Now, breakfast is different. The sausage McMuffin with egg at McDonald's.
And the McGriddle is goated. We all know that.
Yeah, but it's one of the worst fast food sandwiches you can eat.
Yeah.
But if I'm eating fast food, and I don't very often, Wendy's, certainly the Dave's Double is way better. I'm off the Jack wagon now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know when it happened. I haven't had a Jack cheeseburger in a long time. I'm just not on the Jack in the Box train right now.
Right.
But I would go to Jack before McDonald's. If you said we can go to MacDeasy or we can go to Jack, I'm going to Jack.
Mm.
The question becomes, I'll never lower Burger King is Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm never doing it. It's just not, it's not, dude with his crack hanging out the back of his Wrangler jeans goes to Burger King. I'm out. I'm never eating at Cane's.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. But if you put a Whataburger and a quarter pounder on the table, I'm eating the Whataburger.
Right.
All day long.
Yeah, I would agree.
If you put a Buc-ee's barbecue sandwich, I'll never eat it. I'll take the quarter pounder over a Buc-ee's brisket sandwich.
What now? Let me tell you what now.
Do you think Buc-ee's is back?
Not as back as SMU is. I'm kidding. I would eat Buc-ee's over. I would eat Maverick gas station over. I don't understand the obsession with McDonald's.
Yeah, and it's just crazy
Thank you.
how expensive it is.
Thank you. Chick-fil-A is so overrated.
But I will say, and I do agree with that, for breakfast, the egg and cheese biscuit from Chick-fil-A is really good, dude.
No, it's not. Stop.
How is it not good,
You say
dude?
stupid shit like this, and then you expect me to defend you.
Here we go.
The egg and cheese biscuit at Chick-fil-A is good.
Yes. Like you all of a sudden don't like that.
No, I don't. Their eggs are terrible. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think that
McDonald's or Chick-fil-A breakfast?
In totality, McDonald's. But if I am not in the mood for McDonald's or Jack, I would go to Chick-fil-A for the egg and cheese biscuit.
I think Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out. Bullet. Neither. Most overrated ever.
I'm not saying, again, I'm being specific. One menu item. The egg and cheese biscuit. It is good. They do a good job.
Mapes. I never felt good after eating McDonald's. It's terrible. Truth.
Yeah.
Truth. It was for kids. Now we don't go. Yeah, we're actual adults. Yeah, adults. I'm not a McDonald's fan. I was able, Mapes says, to get a gallon of fuel for 89 cents in 98. That's life. Yeah. That's life. Is what it is, right? Dakota says I go to McDonald's because Vladimir Putin told me to.
Yeah.
Okay. I go to McDonald's because I'm addicted to McGriddles and hash browns. Dude, the McGriddle is so good, but it's one of the absolute worst things you can eat.
Yeah.
It is so bad for you. So bad. Michael Smith.
Michael.
Not sure where those prices are, but that's not the prices for two McDonald's in my area.
Yeah, and hey, maybe this was the average pricing nationwide for 2024. So it very well could be that in your area they're less, but it was basically, hey, 1994 to current day, and how much the pricing current day is outpacing inflation.
Oak State James, Wendy's $5 biggie bag is back. Oh, no, I read that wrong. Wendy's $5 biggie bag is better than McDonald's. Jack in the Box has the best burger. Smash Burger is fantastic.
I'm not going to say Smash Burger sucks, but I just never latched onto that brand.
No,
I never really.
I think we've had it one time.
When we lived in Walnut Creek, there was a Smash Burger down the street, and I just didn't. I guess I just didn't. The whole Charburger thing never really resonated with me.
Kenneth says Chick-fil-A is destroying McDonald's. Man, I am just not a Chick-fil-A guy at all. My youngest no longer wants Happy Meals, so we are McDonald's free.
Nice,
Jim. Like it. Chick-fil-A and Popeyes.
Oh man, dude,
Boy, did we
my
fight over this.
Relationship with Popeyes ended in Phoenix.
So you remember when the Popeyes chicken sandwich came out? We waited in line for that thing. And it was mid at best. And Jake's like, I'm done. I'm never doing it.
I felt
we
so
almost
terrible.
We almost got knifed in the drive-through line too. Phoenix is just, But yeah, I remember that.
I felt so bad, dude.
It was
like,
ooh. When did you feel worse?
Taco Bell was worse. Popeyes is definitely second worst.
White Castle or Popeyes?
White Castle.
Really?
I would do White Castle over Popeyes, yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Dude, I shit for a month after White Castle. That was terrible. Terrible. Kenneth says Bojangles. Never had it.
Yeah, I've never had Bojangles, but I have heard good things about it. I've never had it.
Mapes, I don't want a dog burger sitting in a warmer for 3 hours before I order
Facts.
it. Facts. McDonald's was good for their speed, but now the workers get more money and they are slower.
I've noticed that across the board in fast food. Like the Jack by our house, the service sucks.
Yep. It's because Longhorns Pep says it's because of the kids. A lot of kids like MacDeasy. Mike Smith, breakfast at McDonald's is good. Do we really count breakfast? I don't, because I like McDonald's breakfast. Who's got the best hash browns?
Wait, what do you mean? Do we really count it?
But do we really do you when we're talking about, I think this is what you mean, but this is what I mean. When we're talking about fast food, breakfast is in a different category. So like the ultimate extreme sausage sandwich at Jack is really good, but it's really greasy.
Yeah.
So I'm not eating it. I don't eat it. Now you want to hand me a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit from MacDeasy? I'm in.
Yeah.
Sausage McMuffin with egg? Boom. You know the biggest problem with Magdeezy? They don't give you fries in the morning.
Yeah, fries are not available. Which,
or at least I don't think they were last time we went there.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Aaron Wilson gifted a Monty Show membership. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, James, dude, we're coming down to the end of the show here. Do you want to admit that you were trolling, or are you fully committed to the take that SMU is back?
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Aaron Wilson also says red beans and rice from Popeyes.
Nah, dude. Nah.
Mountain Mama says yes, breakfast is in a different category. James had to be trolling.
Had to be.
That's all I can think of.
Had to be.
By the way, you actually swung a golf club last night.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice. It's good to be back out there.
You ready for canyons this weekend?
No, I'm going. I'm playing 9 holes tonight with the girlfriend. So I think after tonight, I think I will be. I definitely felt rusty yesterday.
I'm ranging again tonight.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm hitting my irons. Dude, I hit a 5-iron as far as I've ever hit a 5-iron last night, like 3 swings in a row. And I was like, I'm going home. But dude, I could not hit a 4-wood last night to save my life. It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Golf is hard.
Yeah. Worked on the driver a lot last night. Still trying to figure out how to swing the driver the right way. Trying to.
Yeah, I was pissed on my
don't
driver. Crushed it.
I don't have a good feeling with the whole concept of releasing the club with the driver yet. I have to figure out how to do that.
I was actually watching a video of my swing last night, and I'm actually getting arm structure in my driver swing. But for me, it's all about shoulder plane and backswing.
By the way, when any of you hyenas want to golf at Canyons, trying to bring you guys. We can bring guests on our partnership with them, so you ain't even got to pay.
Dakota, SMU is back just like QT doesn't have good roller grill items. They're disgusting. And you ate that. I still can't believe you ate that.
Well done, bro.
That you ate off a roller.
Okay, James comment right there. Right there.
Not trolling. QB Stone will lead SMU to greatness this year. You said the same thing about Ollie Gordon last year. I saw him in person last year. The guy is legit. Well, he was going up against a refrigerator repair institution. So
anyway,
QBs, you're not trolling. Okay. Breakfast on a bun from Whataburger is GOAT. Yeah, James is a good guy. Oh, it's not. It's
not
good guy
personal, dude. He's a great dude.
What are you talking about?
We're just disagreeing on takes.
4-wood and irons are tough for me to hit. Also, I dominate my irons. I had a really good iron session yesterday. You know what? The only thing I'm struggling with on my irons is my 9-iron goes left right now. Don't know why. But I'm hitting my 8-iron well. Hit my thing, I need to get my 7-iron regripped. I had it regripped for a wider grip for it's uncomfortable for me. I have trouble hitting it, so I need to.
Yeah,
I need to do it. My backyard's almost done, by the way,
dude. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. They said they're going to finish.
They said they'll be done with my backyard.
So we'll take some pictures and we'll talk about it tomorrow. But
putting in some golf.
So today's the day that I think really matters though for this backyard project. Like yesterday, they put in. So like the backyard's being essentially split in half. This section that they're redoing. Yesterday they did the simpler half where it was all the same grass.
We're
really
taking
clean.
out the backyard and we're putting in a golf practice area. Chipping, putting stuff. So they came in with a tractor the other day and tore out my backyard in one day. Over a dozen bushes, a tree, all the sod. Yesterday they poured gravel, leveled it, and laid the longer turf in the back half of the yard. Now today they're actually going to lay like the putting green in the chipping area in my backyard.
So today is the day that in my opinion, takes more skill because they asked if you wanted like slope and a little bit of roll in the like the putting green and make it a little more challenging so you can work on things, and there's multiple lengths. Like they're going to do the green and then there's like a first cut that they're doing. So
yeah,
it'll be really interesting to see like today. But I think if they do a good job on this side of the project, it's going to be a flawless execution.
I would agree.
And I really do have high hopes for the finished product.
Because it has not been cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
Super, super excited about it. It is going to be amazing. We'll see. San Diego State Glen, 4-wood and 4-iron is tough for me to hit. Not all irons, my bad. I don't swing a 4-iron.
I have one in my bag, but I never really have a need to hit it when I'm playing well.
If I'm hitting my driver well, I very rarely hit anything other than 7 through pitching wedge. And if I'm at the courses I play at Canyons up in Park City, there's a couple of 500-yard par 5s that I have to hit 4-wood on, and usually I smoke it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. See, that's the thing I love about Canyons. The course is not long. It is more, it challenges you with shot shaping and
you have
accuracy.
to make shots.
Yeah.
You have to make shots.
Yeah.
So you have to drive it well there. And usually on my regular, if I'm hitting my driver well, I'm usually 280 to 300 off the tee. So I'm usually 8-9 pitching wedge. Like at Glenmore in South Jordan last week when I played last Thursday, the first 4 holes I didn't drive the ball well. So I was hitting 6 and 7 irons. The holes that I did drive well, like the second hole, I hit a 300-yard drive and had a 54-degree in.
Right.
3 is a 3, 4, 5. I drove the ball exceptionally bad and had to hit a 5-iron into a long green. But then the rest of the day, drove a par 3 with a pitching wedge, hit it about 150 yards. The 8th at Glenmore, I hit a bomb, easily 310. Had a 54-degree into the green. And then the 9th, I hit about a 280-yard drive, had 130, I think I had like 138 yards, hit a pitching wedge within 5 feet of the hole. So when I'm driving the ball well, I don't ever hit long irons ever.
Yeah.
If I have my toughest distances are 200 yards on the dot, because my 5 and 6 iron go much further than that, and 120 yards. 120 yards, I don't have a 120-yard club. So I'm usually having to hit a 50-degree, but that's hitting my 50-degree 120 yards is a stretch for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's 120 yards, like 120 to 125 is like a dial. It's like a 105% 50-degree, or it's like a 90% pitching wedge. You have to like either you can only get, and this is what we always talk about when we're playing. There are only certain conditions where you can reach 120 with a 50-degree.
Yes.
It has to be warm. It has to be dry.
Has to be dry.
And it has to be a flat or downhill shot. If it's, let's say in the morning, the grass is wet from being watered, it's cooler, it's like 50 degrees, you're not getting 120 yards out of that.
And I am not good enough at golf to swing easy. I always pick the club. I'm into this thing now where I pick my club and I commit to that swing. So if it's 120 yards, I can't take a pitching wedge because I hit my pitching wedge 130 to 145, 148.
Yeah.
So I've tried to swing easy with a pitching wedge and I almost always leave it way short. If I need a 120-yard shot with a pitching wedge, I'm going to hit it 100 yards. So I'm just going to swing a 50-degree.
Yeah.
If it's on a tee, I'm probably not going to swing a 50-degree because I cannot hit wedges off of a tee. I can hit a pitching wedge off a tee, but not like a 50, 54, or 60. Can't explain it. Don't know why. It is what it is. But you look at my best club on a regular basis is probably my 8 or 9. I hit a 9 about 150, 160. I hit an 8 about 175, 180. On my best 7-iron, I'm probably right around 190, 200. Yeah. So there's not enough difference between my 8 and my 7 right now, which is a problem for me. I'm not hitting the 7 well enough. I think it's because of that grip.
Well, and I think part of it too is like the PXGs are definitely poppy. Like if you get it right, it will go far.
I agree.
Like it will.
I would agree with that. Kenneth Maynard, final comment today. Hey, Monty, have you ever played Pinehurst #2? No, but it's on the list. Would love to play it. Great area of the state, live an hour away. Yeah, Pinehurst is amazing.
Yeah.
Pinehurst is amazing. The Monty Show, as always, presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Please be careful out there, you guys. It's summer. Your kids are out playing. They're riding their bikes, scooters. You know, if you're on one of those pay per ride scooters, please be careful. If you get in an accident, if somebody hits you while you're riding your scooter, you got to get to The Advocates. They're the injury experts. Keep an eye out for people on motorcycles, please. Kids on scooters, bicycles. Let's all slow down in our neighborhoods. But if the worst happens, be ready. Advocates.com. You can chat with an injury attorney live online 24/7, 365. At The Advocates, where you never pay the advocates out of pocket. You don't pay unless and until they win your case. At theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.